Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is Roman with Pro Football Exclusive for you guys here today. It has been a while, but I am here to talk to you today about Johnny Manziel, my first draft projection of the 2014 NFL Draft, which is taking place from May 8th until May 10th. Usually it is around the 3rd to 4th week of April, but they pushed it back. I'm not complaining. Anyways, Johnny Manziel obviously is our topic for the day. I'll add more quarterback videos in the future. I guess you could say my co-worker Justin will also bring you more videos as well. But I'm mainly going to focus on Johnny Manziel, and I'll have a future video about Teddy Bridgewater, quarterback out of Louisville, for the future for you guys then. Anyways, Johnny Manziel is a sophomore from Texas A&M, 6'1" and 200 pounds. Now, in my opinion, I thought Manziel should have stayed another year. He definitely needs another year under his belt, in my opinion. He's a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I love him. I love watching him play. I forget about all the scandals. I focus what he's done on the field, and he has been something to watch. He's been extraordinary. He's been awesome. He's a great team player. He's just very exciting to watch. But he should have stayed one more year as a junior to get more work under his belt. Now, Bridgewater, who's also coming into the draft, he was a senior. I believe he's coming out now as a senior, and I just believe he needs more time to progress as a quarterback because he had a few, injuries earlier on this season through the 13 games. But he came through and won him some games, although they didn't finish with what they would have liked. But anyways, moving on to Johnny Manziel's stats for the 2013 NCAA football season. He played all 13 games. He didn't start, I believe, one game, which was the very first game of the season against Rice, because he had that half-game suspension for being out and partying. Next, he had 300 completions out of 429 attempts, which is a great for someone who is only a sophomore. Had a 69% completion rate. Obviously that's very good for a sophomore. 4,114 yards passing, 9.6 yards per attempt. So that's almost a first down per attempt that he's thrown. He had 37 touchdowns, which is almost near the record. 13 interceptions, a few more than he had the season before with 9. And then he was only sacked 19 times. So great numbers here from Johnny Manziel. He played all 13 games. He was phenomenal all season, passing the ball, throwing the ball, and running the ball. Now, going on to the rushing stats, which weren't even close to his rushing stats for his freshman year, but I'm mainly going to focus on his sophomore year because that's the year that matters with him coming into the draft. Now, he had 144 rushes for 759 yards, 5.5 yards per rush, 5.3 yards per rush, right around there, and 9 touchdowns rushing this season. That's it. So, his numbers in his freshman year when he won the Heisman, those numbers were unreal. I would have brought those numbers for you guys today, but I believe he had 27 rushing touchdowns or something like that. But 9 touchdowns is pretty good for a sophomore who was banged up pretty much, on and off throughout the season. He had to go out for a couple minutes, but he came back in and won the games for him. Now, Manziel, when I look at Manziel, I love him. I'm not going to be biased. Don't think I'm being biased because I like the kid. I think it's because he just brings a lot to the table, although he does need one more year in my opinion, like I've stated before. But these numbers, based on last season, are phenomenal. Yeah, they didn't have the record they wanted, but Manziel put on a show. He is Johnny Football, I guess you could say, which will be his nickname to carry on as long as he succeeds in the NFL. The number that really catches my eye and that will, transfer into the NFL, which will be huge if he can do that there, if he gets the right receiving core, 9.6 yards per attempt passing. It's only 10 yards to get a first down. Now that's great. And another area that catches my eye is his 5.3 yards per rush, which would be a first down and a half. So if he averaged that out every single game, he's getting loads of first down for his team, and he's putting his team in good position to win football games. That's the number that catches my eye because first downs definitely help you win games, obviously. Now, the only part that I'm worried about is his rushing. If he doesn't get an offensive line in front of him to protect him, he's going to struggle. We all know that. We all know Johnny Manziel is going to struggle if he doesn't get that offensive line. because sometimes he will have to run out of the pocket. And he's only 6'1". He's an inch taller than Drew Brees. I mean, but he's a very good football player. Yeah, he's not like big, but he's definitely got the arm. He's got the speed. He's got the elusiveness. And that's what I have him tagged down for. He's elusive. He's very fast when he gets open. He's very smart with the football. He doesn't make too many dumb decisions. He'll throw it out of bounds if he has to. And he's got a great arm. He's got a better arm, in my opinion, than Tim Tebow did in college. And Tim Tebow arguably will go down as one of the greatest college football quarterbacks of all time. But the kid's good, and I'm really excited to see him go into the NFL. But before I get into who I think will be drafting Johnny Manziel in this upcoming draft, we're going to look at how he performed in bowl games, which is a pretty big stage. Yeah, he didn't get to play in the biggest game of them all, the BCS National Championship, but we're going to look at his Cotton Bowl performance against Oklahoma in 2012 and his performance against Duke and the Chick-fil-A Bowl earlier on this year. Now, against Oklahoma, they won 41-14. That's when he had his best year. That's when he won the Heisman. Manziel threw the ball for 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Yeah, they're not spectacular numbers, but the number that I'm really looking at right here, he had 17 carries for 229 yards and 2 touchdowns as a quarterback. Now, keep in mind his offensive line was great that year. He had Luke Jokel on the offensive line, who then went into the draft this past season, which could have affected the way Johnny Manziel rushed the ball. But Manziel, 229 yards and torched the Oklahoma defense. So he had 4 touchdowns alone by himself, which equaled around 28, 27 points. So if he can play like that, against a team like Oklahoma, who's always been pretty good, maybe he'll go into the NFL just like that, as long as he gets an offensive line, which is going to be key. So whichever team he gets drafted into, whether it be the teams I think he'll get drafted to or any other team that may draft up to take him, they need to also draft offensive linemen unless they already have good offensive linemen already. Going into the Duke game earlier this year, which was a shootout in the Chick-fil-A Bowl, Manziel threw for a really good 382 yards and 4 touchdowns, while he rushed with 11 carries, 73 yards, and 1 touchdown. Pretty good numbers for a quarterback, still just like a regular NFL game. Yeah, college teams are like NFL teams, but I'm just saying. So Manziel performed well in the Chick-fil-A Bowl. They were losing, I believe, for most of the game, second and third quarter, and then he came back and led them on a game-winning drive. I believe he rushed in that game-winning touchdown drive. But he's good. He's very good. He performs great under pressure. He beat Alabama to stop their undefeated season 2 seasons ago. He's a very good football player. I'm really excited to see him play. Now, when the Combine comes up next month, February 22nd to 25th, I'm going to be watching the Combine. I think the 3 quarterbacks that are getting the most attention right now, Bridgewater, Manziel, and Bortles, I think I'm going to be watching them very closely. Bridgewater is the one that catches my eye the most, and Manziel is right after, and then Bortles. But we'll see what happens. I'm excited to watch the Combine, but I'm going to get into who Johnny Manziel, in my opinion, will be drafted by, where he fits best, and that is 8th to Minnesota. A lot of people think he'll go first. You may be shocked at what I've just said. A lot of people think he can go to Oakland. A lot of people think he fits very well in Cleveland, which I'll also add on to here after I talk about Minnesota. But Manziel, want to know why Manziel fits with Minnesota? Is because that team is built around speed, and Johnny Manziel has speed. Yeah, Christian Ponder went there, didn't perform very well. He was also a quarterback similar to Johnny Manziel, but I think Johnny Manziel is better and was better than Christian Ponder was in college. But he fits well because they have Cordarrelle Patterson, who could possibly win Rookie of the Year. You've got Adrian Peterson, arguably one of the best running backs in the NFL when healthy. Toby Gerhart, who is a backup running back, but he is a very strong runner. And when he gets open, he scores, and he's a very good runner. And then you've got Greg Jennings and Jerome Simpson, also wide receivers that are also very fast and very elusive and very quick. He fits well, very, very well into that offense because it's built like speed. Now, that could change. Why? Because the Vikings had hired Leslie Frazier, their coach, last season and 2 seasons before that for about 3 to 4 years. Now they bring in Mike Zimmer, the former defensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals, who had coached one of the best defenses in the NFL the past 2 seasons with Vontaze Burfict, Terrence Newman. Now, how is that going to transfer to the Minnesota Vikings? I don't know. Will he go with Manziel if he's on the board? I think so. There's no doubt in my mind. They need a quarterback, and if it's between Manziel and Bridgewater, Manziel fits best. That team is built around speed, and Manziel has speed. He also has the arm. But if they go there, they need offensive linemen. That is why Adrian Peterson did not have as great a season as he did this year before. Why? Because the offensive linemen are poor. They're not good at all. I don't care what names you throw at me. I don't care what stats that you give me. The offensive line was very poor. Now, that's what they also have to do. They have to draft an offensive lineman if they go with Manziel or any quarterback for that matter. If you want a franchise quarterback and you want to keep him healthy and if you want him to lead your team to a Super Bowl, you're going to need offensive linemen. Offensive linemen are a lot bigger than you think on the field. So I definitely think he's going to go to Minnesota if he's on the board, for sure. No doubt about it. If it's between Manziel and Bortles or Manziel and Bridgewater, definitely go with Manziel. Now, if it's Bortles and Bridgewater on the board, go with Bortles. And my other pick, the pick that will probably take Manziel as well, because they're earlier in the draft, is he'll probably go fourth to Cleveland. So either way, he's getting a new head coach who's being a head coach for the first time in their career. And he's got Mike Pettine, the former defensive coordinator of the Bills, who just sent a few players to the Pro Bowl who are playing today. But Mike Pettine did a pretty good job with the defensive lineman over there. But will Manziel work? I think he can, because that team also has speedster receivers and tough receivers as well. You've got Josh Gordon, who electrified the NFL this season with unreal numbers in back-to-back-to-back games. He's a great receiver, and to have a weapon like that for Manziel to throw to as a rookie will be great. It'll do wonders for that franchise. They also have Greg Little, who's obviously not as good as Josh Gordon, but he's also pretty decent. He's a very good receiver. He's very quick. He's very elusive. And to give receivers like that to Manziel in his rookie year, who are better, in my opinion, the Cleveland receivers are much better than Minnesota's receivers. So to give Johnny Manziel those receivers in his first year, that'll do wonders for your franchise within 1 year, and it'll definitely be good things to come for this kid. They also have Jordan Cameron, the tight end. Jordan Cameron was an under-the-radar tight end this season who's a big guy. He can definitely catch the ball. When he gets open space, he's there for you when you need him. He's a big security blanket. So I think he fits well in Cleveland. I think it's because they've got speed on the outside with Little and Gordon. They've also got Devon Best, who can run the slot, who's also a speedster receiver. And have Jordan Cameron, give you those post routes or those 5-yard in and out routes. I think he fits very well in Cleveland, but he fits best with Minnesota. Either one of these teams will take him. A lot of people think he can go to Houston as well. I don't think he fits well with Houston. I really don't. I really don't think he fits well with Oakland. I think Oakland is a mess. Houston is a little bit more organized, but I don't think they're going to go with Manziel based on how Bill O'Brien coaches, and that's what it can come down to. Mike Pettine knows what E.J. Manuel will look like because he was on the team, obviously. Does he want to go with another rookie quarterback? Probably. I think he fits very well. That's what you have to look at. I just really think he fits in well with Minnesota. I really do. I think he'll do great there. But for both of these teams, Cleveland and Minnesota alike, they need offensive linemen. They need offensive linemen to protect whichever quarterback they're going to take, because either two of these teams are for sure taking a quarterback. If neither of these teams don't take a quarterback and they'll take like a defensive back, which they don't need, then I don't know what they would be thinking. Manziel is the best option. If Manziel is on the board for either of these teams, take him and grab him. Take him and grab him. Manziel is a great kid. He's very fast, like I said. He's elusive, he's smart, and he has an amazing arm. And to give him a receiver like Josh Gordon who can stretch the field, oh my goodness, could you imagine how many plays we'll see? Imagine like a 3rd and 15, Manziel rolling out of the pocket, seeing Josh Gordon down the field and just stepping forward and letting that ball fly. I really think he fits very well with Cleveland, but I think he fits even better with Minnesota because they're built more around speed. And that's what Manziel is. He's a speedy guy, but he also has the arm. So whichever team he gets drafted to, I think he'll do very well. I think he'll do very well. Whether it's 4th to Cleveland or 8th to Minnesota, there's no doubt in my mind that Johnny Manziel will perform well. Yeah, Minnesota doesn't have the receivers. They might go with another receiver later on in the draft. I don't think they'll be getting Marquise Lee unless they, trade draft picks with another team in the first round. But they definitely need a receiver. They need an offensive lineman in Minnesota, and that's what you have to do. Their defense is okay, Minnesota's. It's not the best, but if you give Manziel weapons around him, you give him a more vertical receiver because Greg Jennings isn't always healthy. You've got Adrian Peterson in the backfield, arguably one of the best running backs in the NFL right now. And to have that on offense, I think Manziel will definitely work best with the franchise. They should trade up. I think Minnesota should trade up with St. Louis and take Johnny Manziel. I don't think Houston's going to go with Manziel. I think Houston's going to go with Clowney if they want to stack their defensive line and their linebacking core. And they'll probably go with Teddy Bridgewater, who for some reason his draft stock is falling. But I'll get on to his video later on. But yeah, tell me what you guys think down below about Johnny Manziel. He had put up great numbers in his freshman and sophomore year with the 9.6 yards per attempt. So tell me down in the comments below who you think Johnny Manziel will fall to. I believe he'll go to Cleveland once again, 4th overall, or Minnesota 8th overall, unless they trade up to get Manziel. So once again, leave down in the comments below what you think. Is Manziel a good quarterback? Is he NFL ready? I think he needs one more year. Tell me what you guys think. Which team will he fall to? Is he ready? Is it his time? Don't forget about the off-field issues. Focus on what he does on the field, and let's see if that'll transpire to the NFL and give me your opinion. Thank you. This has been Roman with Pro Football Exclusive. I'll have a video about Teddy Bridgewater coming to you guys soon. Thank you. Have a great day.